Odyssey Sports Station.
Well, here's hoping that everybody has gotten what happened on Sunday out of their systems at this point. We can all move forward, get ourselves ready for what's going to come up this Sunday for the Kansas City Chiefs against the Indianapolis Colts. After hours, here on 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports. Logan Weber here alongside Blake Schneiders with you till 9 o'clock tonight. 913-586-7965 is our number. Practice began officially for this week today. Had a chance to hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Simmons, one of his first media availabilities since his return to the team, as well as middle linebacker Nick Bolton in the lead up to Sunday's game. And, you know, for the most part, it was the media-trained coach speak, but there were a few notable comments and responses that we heard from those four guys today, starting with what we heard from Andy Reid. He talked about the health and availability of this Kansas City Chiefs team. Two guys did not practice. One that shouldn't have come as a surprise to anybody. One that maybe was a bit more of a shock. Kingsley Suamataia did not practice. He, of course, left that game against Denver on Sunday, put into the concussion protocol. He did not practice today. It certainly doesn't lend itself to a great deal of confidence that Kingsley is going to be able to play Sunday against the Colts. That concussion protocol can last several weeks. I mean, we're watching it with C.J. Stroud right now, who is about to miss his third consecutive game in the concussion protocol. He won't be available this week against the Bills for Houston. Meanwhile, you've got Xavier Worthy, who I don't think many people expected him to be on the injury report. Andy mentioned that he went through warm-ups, but he was dealing with kind of a re-aggravation of that ankle injury, which has kind of been bothering him all year long. I feel like we've heard more about the ankle injury than we have the shoulder at this point in the year. But he's listed because of that ankle on the practice sheet, on the injury report. He did not participate in practice today. So those are the only two guys that missed practice. Everybody else was a full participant, and that includes Isaiah Pacheco, who looks like he is gearing up to play after missing the last two games for the Chiefs. I don't like hearing, I mean, Kingsley, you sort of anticipated that because of the concussion, but Worthy not being able to play, not being able to practice today, I certainly don't mean that guarantees he won't play against Indy, but from now on, you're sort of looking at, okay, is he going to be able to get to a full participant by Friday so that way you have confidence that he plays on Sunday? That's what we're going to have to wait and see on. Not that we've seen Xavier Worthy get a ton of opportunities, but Patrick Mahomes was asked today about the missed shots down the field, namely to Xavier Worthy over the course of this year. And if he's not even on the field, those sorts of things don't come into the picture. Now, maybe, you could look at it glass half full and say that there's going to be more deep shot down the field opportunities for Tyquan Thornton, but you're hoping that Xavier Worthy can become the consistent guy in that setting because of that rare speed that he possesses. I mean, guy holds the 40-yard dash record at the Combine. It's an elite level of speed that you have off the field if he can't play.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly the number one deep threat, although I will say, like you said, Tyquan Thornton showed it early on in the season and then kind of went away for a while. It looked like they weren't really targeting him, setting him up in good positions to attack the deep ball. And then what did we see last week? Patrick Mahomes connects with him again. So his research, I think Tyquan Thornton is a good backup for that, but you don't want to see the guy whose whole attribute and biggest weapon is his speed to have an ankle injury. Now, thinking back to last year, bringing back Pacheco from his ankle and leg injury, I think that they rushed him back a little bit, but I think he also wanted to come back a little bit. So you're in that kind of delicate position where you don't really want to see them force him to play if he doesn't feel comfortable, but you're also not really in a position to not have him play. You need every player that you can get for the Chiefs going forward, and they need the best players on the roster going forward. And right now, they're not really in a position. So, and this could be just him taking care of some stuff, maybe feeling a little gingerly on it. That kept him out of practice, but you don't really like to hear that.
Yeah, you're at a point now where your back doesn't get more against the wall than it currently is. I mean, you are in a do or die mode if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, Alex and I talked earlier this week on Cody and Gold, and he said that he believes the Chiefs need to go 6-1 over their last 7 games to make the playoffs. I have said, and I'll say again, I don't have a lot of confidence that this Chiefs team can make the playoffs right now. I mean, if you were to, gun to my head, force me to put money on Chiefs making or missing the playoffs, I'm putting it on them missing the playoffs as of this moment. And if Xavier Worthy can't go, not saying that the Chiefs don't have other great wide receiver options, because they do. You know, has Hollywood Brown been as good as I expected him to be? Not yet. I mean, he looked great in that game against the Chargers, but kind of had to be when you're missing Rashee Rice because of the injury and Xavier Worthy goes down with the dislocated shoulder 3 plays in. But since that point, since you got both of those guys back, he hasn't been as prevalent in this offense. Tyquan Thornton, similar situation. He looked really, really good. And then as Worthy came back and Rice came back, less targets seemed to come his way. And Rashee Rice is fresh off of what I would argue is the worst performance of his NFL career thus far. 3 dropped passes in that game. All 3 of them came in huge spots. It's not as if these were drag routes 2 yards across the line of scrimmage that he was dropping or swing passes. These were 2 of the 3 were 20-plus yard shots down the field that Mahomes could not have put them in better positions, and he just dropped them. And then the one late across the middle that he just maybe didn't get his head around quick enough to. But he's coming off a game where he seemed the most human he's ever looked in his Chiefs career, dating back to when he began as a rookie. So you need as much help as you can possibly get right now if you're the Chiefs. If Worthy can't go, it does cause you to tighten your purse strings a little bit, I guess you could say, in terms of the weapons you have at your disposal. And is he capable of it? Yeah, obviously, because he did it on Sunday. But the last thing I want to see is Travis Kelce get another 12 targets in a game moving forward.
You know, I don't mind it, because here's the deal. Yeah, all that talk last year about Travis Kelce and him, you know, kind of getting towards the end here. Oh, does he need to retire? He's looking slow. He's like the number 2 or 3 tight end in the league right now. So I don't mind it, but I don't want that to have to be the go-to.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's not that he's being
we're
not that
on
he's
each other.
not effective, because he absolutely is. There's no question about it. The guy's still a top 5 tight end in the NFL. I was just hoping, and I knew that coming into the year. I've never lost my faith in Travis Kelce's ability. I was just hoping that there would be so many weapons on this Chiefs offense, younger, a little bit more rubbery, I guess you could say, in terms of their injury, chances, that you could utilize Travis Kelce less, which, would hurt his productivity in the regular season, but you would get a much closer to 100% Travis Kelce when it came time for that mid to late December run to try to win the AFC West or get the 1 seed or get into the playoffs. That's all kind of out the window at this point with the injuries to Worthy, the lack of effectiveness from Rashee Rice last week, and the fact that you are sitting here at 5-5. Every game could be the one that make or breaks your ability to make the playoffs now, with you sitting as the 9 seed in the AFC. I wouldn't have guessed that. No. I never would have guessed heading into the 3rd week of November that the Kansas City Chiefs would not only be in 3rd place in the AFC West, but they would be 5-5, 2 games back of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and 9th in the AFC. Never would have guessed that. Right now, the Carolina Panthers have a better record than the Chiefs. In 2025, the Carolina Panthers have a better record than Kansas City does. How much money do you think somebody would have made had they bet on that coming into the year?
They would have been laughing all the way to the bank. I will say this. I think the one thing that should give as bad as or as much criticism as Chiefs fans have given the Chiefs this year, valid criticism, might I add. I will say, like, let's say Worthy, for some odd reason, which I do not suspect at all. Let's just say for some reason he was out. The one thing the Chiefs have shown is when guys have to step up, especially in that receiving room, Tyquan Thornton has proven he can do it. And I will say this, with his speed and his height, he consistently wins on the outside. So I would actually like to see him get more looks. Now, that doesn't mean I want Worthy not to play. The other thing is I don't foresee Rashee Rice, because I think he's his biggest critic. I don't foresee him duplicating that in any shape, form, or fashion. I think that was a rarity. We've almost never seen that. Even when he was a rookie, we've never seen that. I don't suspect that that's going to be an issue going forward. So just to give a little ease to anybody there's plenty of fans out there who have already thrown the baby out with the bathwater and thought they're not going to the playoffs. This is the worst year we've had in Patrick Mahomes' history. And they want to point the fingers at anybody and everybody, mainly Mahomes and Reed.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it's time to hit the panic button. We are back again. The Chiefs are back against the wall, 100%. But they're also one of the most strong-willed teams when it comes to having their back against the wall. And if they go out and play like it, and if they go out and relax and do what they need to do, because they've been in this situation so many times over the past 7 years, that muscle memory can hopefully play itself out the rest of the season.
You have to hope, I see what you're saying, and it's not that they've never been in high stress, big time positions before, but I would argue the Chiefs have never been in a position quite like this one. They've been in positions where they're fighting for a 1 seed, or maybe they're fighting for the AFC West division. And that's usually in like week 15 when they've got 3 games left to go and all they got to do is win 1. They're fighting for a chance to get to an AFC championship game or to get to a Super Bowl or to win a Super Bowl. We've never seen the Kansas City Chiefs under Patrick Mahomes with him at quarterback fighting to even make the postseason. And so it just feels like a very different situation in that right than they're accustomed to. And, it was interesting at the press conference today. It didn't necessarily feel like panic when we heard from Andy or Patrick or any of the other guys, but there was a definite, and the cop-out word is urgency, and that's the word that Andy Reid used. He talked about having a sense of urgency and being urgent without overreacting. Now, I'm not exactly sure what that means. I guess just trying to play with a greater sense of focus and discipline, because obviously that's an issue right now. Discipline across the board, whether it be the penalty issues that have really reared their ugly head against this Chiefs team twice at least this season, you would argue, right? That Jacksonville game, penalties absolutely killed them. And then this last game against the Broncos. There were so many, they were a carbon copy of each other in terms of the mistakes throughout that football game. Red zone interception that absolutely killed an opportunity to put points up on the board, plenty of penalties, and special teams miscue after special teams miscue. Somebody last night on the show in the text line was like, well, at least we don't have to worry about the Harrison Butker stuff anymore. I would argue that's not true, because has he been better? Has he been more consistent with his field goal kicking and his extra points? Absolutely.
What's up with kickoffs?
This man has been penalized twice on kickoffs this year. He's been penalized for a kick out of bounds. He's been penalized for a kick that didn't even reach the landing zone. And I would argue that there was, it wasn't a penalty necessarily, but we know that by kicking a ball into the end zone for a touchback now, the offense automatically gets the ball to the 35-yard line. So you want to avoid that if you are a special teams unit. Well, on the kickoff prior to the one that landed short and was a penalty, he kicked it into the end zone for a touchback. So there are still some concerns, I would argue, with Harrison Butker's kicking ability. Now, it hasn't been field goals or extra points, which is good. If it's kickoffs, you can live with that, I think, a little bit more, because at least you're not taking points off the board. You're just making it easier for your opponent to put points of their own up.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's not leaving points on the table as much as it's setting up the other team to have a more, instead of having to go 80, 75 yards on a drive. Now you're putting them at 55 yards, 60 yards. That's not as insurmountable as a 75, 80-yard drive. That's a little more daunting.
No question about it. We'll talk more about what we heard at today's Kansas City Chiefs press conference prior to today's practice coming up next. You're listening to After Hours. Our text line, 913-586-7965. Logan Weber here with you alongside Blake Schneiders, 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting Gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt. Gain. Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she never gives him attention.
Ooh, you smell amazing, James.
Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I never said that.
Add Gain scent boosters to your laundry. Add joy to your day.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
It's Thanksgiving time, and that means it's Smokehouse Barbecue time as well. I love Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday, and I always get my turkeys at Smokehouse Barbecue. We're talking 12 to 15-pound birds that they're going to smoke to perfection for you that you're going to pick up the day before Thanksgiving. Pop it in the oven on Thanksgiving morning, and that smoked turkey from Smokehouse Barbecue will be the star of the show. They're $89.95, and it's the best money you're ever going to spend. Order your turkeys now from Smokehouse Barbecue at smokehousebbq.com. Step into a world where substance meets style. Newton James, Kansas City's newest classic menswear and accessories boutique. They redefine what menswear should be with pieces from designers like Ralph Lauren, Sid Mashburn, Grayson, and more. They'll have you covered from the boardroom to the golf course. At Newton James, they believe someone has to be the best-dressed man in the room. It might as well be you. Located in downtown Overland Park or newtonjames.com. Elevate your wardrobe. Elevate your presence only at Newton James.
Hi there, I'm Charlie.
And I'm Carter. Our dad is Rex with Rex Buys KC.
If you're thinking about selling a home in Kansas City and don't know where to start, our dad can help.
Sometimes life throws curveballs, like moving for a new job, dealing with a divorce, or inheriting a house you weren't expecting.
Dad doesn't just make offers, he talks with people to help them understand all of their options. No pressure, and it doesn't cost anything to talk with his team.
He's a local home buyer who really knows Kansas City. If selling to him is the right choice, he'll give you a fair cash offer, and you can close on your timeline even in as little as 7 days.
He buys homes in any condition. No need for repairs, no fees, no surprises.
Just an honest, easy process so you feel good about your decision.
Want to talk to him? Call 816-330-6000 or go to rexbuyskc.com.
Rex Buys KC, helping people make smart choices one home at a time.
Hi, we're your friends who get super excited about the holidays.
We sure are, or this isn't the ugliest holiday sweater ever.
People think we're happy because we love peppermint lattes.
Or catching snowflakes on our tongues.
But really, it's because
it's Holiday Millionaire Raffle Season!
It's your best odds to win $1 million.
That's dollars, not twinkling lights, but that would be great too.
Play the Kansas Lottery Holiday Millionaire Raffle. Get excited!
See kslottery.com for details.
Extra, extra, read all about it!
The Fed just cut interest rates again, and that means now is the time to refinance with Golden Oak Lending. Lower rates mean lower payments, and our customers are saving hundreds every month. Plus, you can make no payments until next year. And if your loan doesn't close, we'll pay for your appraisal. Call 913-890-GOLD today and start saving.
Golden Oak Lending cured my blues.
NMLS number 114937.
We're back at Arrowhead on Sunday.
Pass caught, and it's caught by Kelsey inside the 10, inside the 5. Kelsey leaps, touchdown! Kansas City, touchdown! touchdown for Kelsey, his 84th touchdown of his career, the most by any person who has worn the Kansas City Chiefs jersey.
Chiefs, Colts, with pregame starting at 9, kickoff at noon, all right here on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
With this week's practice schedule beginning today, we had our first opportunity of this new league week to hear from head coach Andy Reid as well as quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Two other guys spoke to the media today at the presser in left tackle Josh Simmons as well as middle linebacker Nick Bolton. We'll talk about those comments here coming up in just a minute. 913-586-7965 is our number. You're listening to After Hours. Logan Weber alongside Blake Schneiders. And we talked a little bit about Andy's comments and him saying, urgent but not overreacting. It felt to me, and again, pure speculation, I would say, on my part, but it was very interesting. I've been in, all of these midweek, these Wednesday, Tuesday press conferences, depending on what day of the week the team is playing. But, I've never heard Andy quite how he was today, at least in my limited experience. He seemed very much defensive today, being asked questions and pushing back a little more than I'm accustomed to. When it comes to listening to Andy Reid speak with the media, I thought that was kind of interesting. And maybe that wasn't him being defensive. Maybe that was him, being aggressive, understanding that the team is in a position where they need to be, as quote unquote, urgent, but not overreact. I have no idea. But it just felt like a very different Andy Reid today than I have heard from him so far this season. Patrick Mahomes, one of the hot button issues this week has been the running game, or should I say lack thereof, for the Kansas City Chiefs. Kareem Hunt only running the ball 13 times last week. Meanwhile, Mahomes threw it 45 times. You threw the ball on over 75% of your snaps on Sunday. And Andy was asked about that on Monday, and his response was, talking about the RPOs versus the, quote, hard runs that they call them. Well, Patrick was asked about that, the RPOs today. What do you see on that play? How do you decide to diagnose it and ultimately make the decision of whether to give or pull it out and try to make a throw? And he said he thinks he's done a good job of reading those, that the opponent is run blitzing a lot in those situations and basically forcing the Chiefs to have to throw in those RPO situations, which leads me right back to what we've been talking about all week, which is why are we not running the football from under center more regularly? I understand that out of the shotgun set, you become a little bit less predictable and this and that and the other thing, but the Kansas City Chiefs are a top 3 team in the NFL in running plays that begin with the quarterback under center. With under center runs, the hard runs that Andy seems to call them, they are top 3 in the NFL in terms of effectiveness. Yards, yards on average, yards per carry, first downs gained, all of those different things. They are incredibly good at those things. And they were good at it on Sunday. I mean, Kareem Hunt, 13 carries for 59 yards, and I would argue that he probably got 50 of those 59 yards on maybe 8 to 10 of those hard runs. And every time they tried to hand him the football out of those shotgun RPO settings, it hasn't worked. So I really would love to see more of those under center, just no doubt handoffs to Kareem Hunt, where the offensive line isn't having to adjust to letting a guy come free off the edge so that Mahomes can read him, or adjust their blocking at the line of scrimmage, or for Mahomes to, because he said it, like, he's not always reading a guy. He's reading an area of the field. He's reading the coverage and those sorts of things. And it's like, well, that tells me that you're reading a lot more of the P than the R in the RPO situation there, which I don't necessarily see as the greatest recipe for success if I'm the Chiefs.
No, I agree. And there was a great text earlier from the text line from the 918. Chiefs are 6-0 when Kareem Hunt has 15 or more rushing attempts. 6-0. 15, that's it. 15. Now, you said he had 13 on Sunday. And I would argue, and Alex and I were actually talking about this before that betting show, there were 2 instances, especially late in the game, where if you would have given Kareem the ball once or twice more times on those last drives where they were stalled late when they forced back-to-back punts from Denver, that could have given you a break to get a first down, to start a rhythm, to get a drive. But when you're killing drives because you're passing it 3 times in a row and out inside your own 20, it's a drive killer, man. And it's predictable.
Oh, no question about it.
And you might as well run the legs off of Kareem Hunt as much as you can because he's proven he falls forward every time. It's rare that he gets negative yards. And he was averaging, what did you say? Was it 5 yards a carry or 4.4?
He was close to 4.5, 13 for 59. So he was averaging right at 4.5 yards a carry.
Obviously, you're not going to run 3 plays in a row every single time and get a first down just because of the average. But you just pepper 3 more rushes in there, and it's a drive extender. Instead of sitting at 3rd and 9, 3rd and 11, maybe on first down you already cut 4 yards off that. Now you're sitting at 2nd and 6. Now you can play around. You can run it again, pass it again. It just seems like the play calling was stale. But this is Andy's MO. Even when the run's working, we saw it way back in the AFC Championship game against the Bengals, where they lost, where they ran the ball so effectively, but in the second half it's abandoned.
Yeah. And I go back to, you mentioned there were 3 separate occasions where the Chiefs had a 3rd and 2 or shorter, and they chose to throw the football, including on that I shouldn't say last drive, that second to last drive of the game, where it was 19-16, they were leading, and you just kept throwing the football. And then you had a 3rd and 2 on the very next drive and decided to throw it to Brashard Smith. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. Even you go back to that first drive of the 3rd quarter. Chiefs have the ball 1st and 10 inside the Denver 20-yard line. They had it at the 17. You're in the red zone. What do? Screen, or I shouldn't say a swing pass to Kareem Hunt that went for, 15 yards, but by throwing the football, it ends up leading to an illegal formation penalty on Jawan Taylor because he's trying to line up in a way that becomes advantageous for him in pass protection. So the 5-yard penalty makes it 1st and 15. You then threw a 1-yard pass to Robert Tonyan on 1st and 15. 2nd and 14, it's a throw to Kareem Hunt out of the backfield on a check down. And then the 3rd down play was the interception. 1st and 10 inside the opponent's red zone, and you didn't run the football once when you were averaging, at that moment, 4.5 yards a carry. I don't understand.
Well, and what have you seen with Kareem Hunt inside the 15 all year? He finds the end zone.
He's been, the numbers are astronomical. Him on 3rd and 2 or 4th and 2 and shorter this year, he has been more effective than the tush push has been.
Yeah, he is almost a guarantee. And you know the other thing that I noticed in the game that I think, as much as some fans might not like to see that, I actually do because I think he's very good at it. Pat didn't get out the pocket and run past the line of scrimmage many times. In fact, that was the reason he ended up throwing an interception, is because he waited over by the sideline and stayed behind the line of scrimmage when I believe he could have gotten a couple yards, which would have set them up for 4th down if they didn't get it. I like when Pat is able to create plays with his feet because he's very efficient at scrambling. No, he's not Lamar Jackson, but he typically chooses the precise time to run when there's nobody around and he can get first downs. And I just didn't see it, even though I saw openings where he could have done it. He was looking downfield, looking to create a play. Now, typically you would like to see that, but he's so good at getting first downs with his legs, I trust him to do it. And it just looked like he was kind of pulling the reins back on that.
I'm with you 100%.
And that just adds to the running game itself. Yeah, that's not the running backs, but Pat's efficient at running.
Yeah,
It's all the same thing.
First seven weeks of the season, he was leading the NFL in rushing yards by quarterbacks. Now, that's stopped since then, and it's now become, surprise, surprise, Josh Allen, who now leads all quarterbacks in both rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. But, one of the other things that I found interesting from Patrick Mahomes today, he was asked about the deep ball, the passing deep down the field, those 30, 40-yard plus targets to guys like Xavier Worthy and Tyquan Thornton. And, let's face it, the inconsistencies that have been present when he's throwing the ball deep down the field. And he mentioned what I think may be a change in his philosophy. He talked about trying to lead his guys downfield so that way they can make plays after the catch. That deep pass to Xavier Worthy, he had 3 or 4 yards of separation there, where if he catches that football, it's 6. There's nobody in the league in a straight line head-to-head race that's going to catch Xavier Worthy. But he overthrew him. Did the same thing a couple of plays later to Tyquan Thornton on that same drive. And he talked about, instead of trying to throw the ball a little deeper and lead those guys, to maybe, put a little bit more air under it and allow those guys to just come down with the ball, right? Rather than trying to lead them so that they can get it on the run and try to get upfield and turn a big play into a bigger play or even a touchdown, to more or less just try to put it on them a little bit and settle for what would be a 40, 50-plus yard completion, kind of like what he did with Tyquan Thornton in the second half of that game, that big 61-yarder where you could argue he throws that a little bit further, like we're accustomed to seeing from him. Tyquan catches that in stride, and it's a touchdown. But he put a little bit more air under it, allowed Tyquan Thornton to just utilize his big body and go up and get the football, gain a 61, and ends up leading to the Chiefs' first touchdown of the game. I thought that was kind of an interesting perspective from Patrick of when he takes those deep shots, just allow the guy to make a play on the ball, not try to make a play after the catch anymore.
Well, yeah, don't try to make the play for the receiver, in my eyes.
Yeah.
And do you think that this could be a byproduct of, I was thinking about this because I was listening to Carrington. He was replaying Patrick Mahomes' interview earlier today. Do you think that this is potentially a consequence or a byproduct of back when Chiefs had Tyreek Hill? Tyreek had the very unique ability to go out and track balls down and kick it into a 5th gear. Then there was a couple years there where they weren't really throwing that deep pass. It was a lot more digs, middle routes, over the middle, and hitches and all this. So they weren't going deep anymore. So now that they have the ability to go deep again, do you think in somewhere, maybe it's subconsciously, maybe I'm overthinking this, Logan, that he's still kind of in that mindset, well, since we can go deep, I'm gonna throw it up, but not everybody's Tyreek Hill, where it maybe allowed him to get away with a couple more things or be able to lead these guys a lot more because he knew Tyreek could track it down. And instead now, because I really liked how he sounded with the self-accountability in his interview. And I liked that he seemed to be noticing, like you said, letting the players now go make a play, putting it on them instead of trying to almost help them make a play.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think when you have a guy, and again, Xavier Worthy is an extremely fast player. The combine numbers, the 40 times suggest he might be faster than Tyreek Hill. But, Tyreek has got a very unique ability. First of all, his ability sideline to sideline is better than Xavier Worthy's. Tyreek has great straight line speed, but he's also one of the most agile players that has ever come into this league. Xavier Worthy doesn't have that sideline to sideline agility. His is more of a straight line track star kind of speed. And so what Tyreek Hill could do getting away from a corner, utilizing, that ability to get side to side, sidestepping, getting off the ball, I think is a little bit better than what X had. And yeah, when you've got somebody the caliber of Tyreek Hill, there were so many times where Pat would just drop back and throw it up there and see if Tyreek could go get it, because Tyreek could go get it. Maybe instead of that, it's more of just get it to the guy, and see what can happen after that. I'm with you 100% on that.
Well, and also, like you said, like he mentioned, there's nothing wrong with having a 50-yard bomb that doesn't end in a touchdown. That's okay.
Yeah.
Because now, guess what? You're still 50 yards down the field. Yeah, now you have another fresh 10 or another fresh 4.
Exactly. Just put four more downs on you. The defense is on its heels now because you just generated a big play, and now they're going to have to play that more honestly. And Mahomes talked about if they're able to convert those balls deep downfield now, because the numbers tell you the Chiefs are actually one of the worst teams in the NFL in the intermediate area of the field, that 10 to 20-yard range. They are doing all of their damage between 1 yard and 10 yards off the ball and 20-plus yards from the line of scrimmage. They are doing almost nothing in the middle of the field.
Which was the success that they had the previous 2 years.
Right, because teams don't have faith that they're going to connect on that deep ball because it has been so inconsistent. They're willing to let you try to nickel and dime them down the field. They're going to play man-to-man. They're going to make life difficult from you in that intermediate part of the field, which is where guys like Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce have lived over the course of their NFL careers. So it's one of those things where there seems to be an understanding of what's happening. When the adjust comes, I don't know, right? That's the talk is cheap sort of a thing, right? Like, okay, you see what we're seeing and you see where the problem lies. How are you going to fix it? They're talking about ways to fix it. We'll see if they actually use those things. It's going to be interesting moving forward. 913-586-7965 is our number. We've got a lot of the messages in the text line. We'll take a look at those throughout the show. But I also want to talk about what we heard from both Josh Simmons and Nick Bolton today at the press conference prior to Wednesday's practice. That's coming up next here on After Hours. Logan Weber, Blake Schneiders, 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
Century Roofing has done it again. Voted best roofing company in Johnson County for the 4th year in a row. If you didn't get your roof inspected after last year's hailstorms and your neighbors are getting new roofs, you might have damage too. Don't wait. Book your free inspection today and take advantage of our free material upgrade sale. This can mean big savings on your insurance premium. Trust the pillars of strength with female-owned Century Roofing. CenturyRoofingKC.com. That's CenturyRoofingKC.com.
Century Roofing. Trust the pillars of strength.
You've got a big day, so you use Unstoppable Scent Boosters to give your laundry non-stop freshness. So no matter how long the day goes, you
can't stop this power, this walk, this pose, this strut, this look, this talk.
Your clothes will be so fresh you can confidently strut into that end of the day meeting like a
boss, 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 bosses. Let's talk business in my office.
Add new Unstoppable beads to your wash for 24-hour non-stop freshness so you can smell unstoppable.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Hi, I'm Andy, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. As a product development manager, I make sure every piece of fine jewelry at Shane Company is meticulously designed for quality. From 14-karat gold chains, pearl necklaces, diamond studs, and of course, dream engagement rings. We ensure each piece meets our high-quality standards every step of the way, including the smallest details. Come see for yourself. Visit us in store or at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Another summer is ended, and you may have noticed that your energy is lower, your workouts aren't as productive, perhaps you aren't sleeping as well and feel foggy all the time, maybe even your sex drive is off. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're experiencing some or all of these symptoms, it's likely you have low testosterone. And if that's what's going on with you, don't wait. You need to call us at Heartland Men's Health and get treated for your low T, because living with low testosterone is no way to live. With our low T treatments, if you're like most guys, your life will change considerably. Improved sleep, better energy, greater gains in the gym, better mental clarity, and your sex drive will likely improve as well. Plus, most men see these results in just a few weeks. So call us. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes PSA and T-test and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600. Or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
Every morning, we rise and shine, make breakfast, and brush away the night's rest. These routines help us start the day off right. Nature Made vitamins are a simple step in that daily care regimen. Multivitamins with daily essentials, clinically studied probiotics for gut health support, magnesium to help relax the body. Nature Made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
You've got a big day, so you use Unstoppable Scent Boosters to give your laundry non-stop freshness. So no matter how long the day goes, you
can't stop this power, this walk, this pose, this strut, this look, this talk.
Your clothes will be so fresh you can confidently strut into that end of the day meeting like a
boss, 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 bosses. Let's talk business in my office.
Add new Unstoppables beads to your wash for 24-hour non-stop freshness so you can smell unstoppable.
After Hours here on 96.5 The Fan. Logan Weber alongside Blake Schneiders. We'll get to your texts here in just a little bit. 913-586-7965. We've been discussing today's press conference prior to practice on this Wednesday. Heard from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, as well as Josh Simmons and Nick Bolton. One of the first media availabilities that we've had with Josh Simmons since his return to the team. He was asked about his absence and if he cared to share anything about why he was away from the team. His response was he wanted to keep that in-house. Absolutely, that is his right. But he started off his comments by thanking not only the Kansas City Chiefs as an organization, but Chiefs fans and the community of Kansas City as a whole for having his six, as he called it, having his back when he was obviously going through something that was very, very important to him. He was asked about, how important family is. He is Polynesian, Ohana, as a part of the family culture. It is first and foremost for him. And he talked at length about how important this was for him and, very, very grateful for the Chiefs and for Chiefs fans and the community to allow him to take care of what he felt he needed to do in order to get back and give his full attention to this football team again. He was later asked, I believe it was Sam McDowell who asked him, is there any concern about him having to leave the team again for the rest of the year? And he said no. He said he should be with the team for the rest of the year. He said that with a great deal of confidence. So it sounds like the Chiefs will have their starting left tackle, hopefully the future of their left tackle position with the team for the remainder of this season, which is a very good piece of news because I would argue that he played the best football of his career thus far in that game on Sunday against the Denver Broncos, lined up against some of the very best edge rushers that the NFL has to offer up in Benito and Cooper. And they were throwing everything at this guy, and he held his own for 4 quarters. Josh Simmons, after missing a month, after being away from the team, not involved in a practice, a team workout, an individual meeting, none of it for a month. And to have that kind of a performance impressed the hell out of me. And it sounds like we're not going to have to be concerned about him leaving the team again anytime soon. Otherwise, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think for Chiefs fans, you should be solidified, at least so far in his career. Yes, did he miss a few games? Yes, is there questions surrounding it? There shouldn't be any more. It should be done. It should be in the past. He's back with the Chiefs. And I think it does solidify that the Chiefs made the correct pick in picking him because we've seen how far he's progressed so far in his rookie season at arguably the hardest position in the NFL.
No question about it. And then hearing from Nick Bolton, surprise, surprise, he is of the belief, as I think a lot of us are, that this Indianapolis Colts team goes as Jonathan Taylor goes, right? It talked about at length about how good a player he's been. He talked about how improved Daniel Jones is, at this point, with the Colts compared to where he was with the Giants. I would argue that that's starting to crumble a little bit, considering he's got 7 turnovers in the Colts' last 2 games. But I digress. He was very poignant about talking about Jonathan Taylor and how good a player he is. I think the exact phrase that he used, he said that he is as fast a player, he has as much speed and quickness as a Bijan Robinson or a Jahmyr Gibbs, but that he's a bigger guy. How bigger, stronger that he is while having a caliber of speed comparative to somebody like a Bijan Robinson or a Jahmyr Gibbs is a terrifying thought. He understands the task that they have put in front of them of trying to slow down Jonathan Taylor. He was also very, very complimentary of Tyler Warren and the job that he's done, the young guy out, who has really made some hay early in his career with the Indianapolis Colts, and how they use him in their offense, reminds me a little bit of how the Chiefs have utilized Travis Kelce over the years. They line him up at fullback or in an H-back setting. Yeah, he's in a 3-point stance on the inline like a normal tight end, but he's also in the stand-up. He's out on the slot. We've seen him line up out wide as like an X or a Z receiver in this Colts offense. They know the positional versatility that he has. And so, this is a tall task for this Chiefs linebacking core of trying to help slow things down in the box against, I would argue, the best back in the NFL this season so far in Jonathan Taylor, while trying to contain a really good young tight end, which, let's face it, has been the kryptonite of this Kansas City Chiefs linebacking core over the past few seasons. Tight ends have really been able to make their hay against that linebacking core of the Chiefs recently.
Well, and it makes it even more dangerous when you have a really good running back tight end combo, because you can disguise so many things while having 2 explosive players that close to the line of scrimmage. It just makes game plans have to be a lot more tight knit. You really have to understand the formations you're looking at and the dangers that each formation can present. The thing that I like about the Chiefs, they don't let up they don't give up to high scoring offenses, and they are usually, especially for the past few years, pretty dang stout against the run.
I would argue outside of that Bills game with the day that James Cook had, they have been the best running defense against running backs specifically of any team in the NFL the last 2 years.
Yeah. 2-3 years, honestly. They really, their run game plan to take away high-profile running backs, whether it's a Derrick Henry or a Saquon Barton or a Saquon Barkley, anybody of that caliber or James Cook, typically they do a very good job of holding them to under 80, under 100, under even 80 yards. So I'm not as worried about Jonathan Taylor in that sense. My worry will become if they don't focus on him. I'm not also worried about the Colts wide receiver crew. I think our cornerbacks stack up almost position to position better than they do. So it's really going to be minimizing those 2 guys, Tyler Warren and Jonathan Taylor. And we'll see. Tight ends have been a big issue for the Chiefs. And Tyler Warren looks to be on a trajectory right now where he could be a really good player in this league for the next foreseeable future. This will be a big test for not only him as a player, but the Chiefs on how they respond, because they know that they've been beat. I would love to see a lot of Leo Chenal this game. I'd even like to see some Bosa in this game. I think he's a freak athlete, and I think he's got more speed than Bolton and Tranquil, who are great guys, captains of the defense, leaders of the defense. But when it comes to guys who are big and fast at the same time, I'd like to see a little bit more trust in some of those young guys to see if they can hang, especially Chenal. He's not young anymore. He's proven. We know that he's also a freak athlete out there. So it'll be very interesting to see the kind of schemes that they draw up to match what I think will be tricky schemes. I mean, like I said, good running back, good tight end. Those can be dangerous in the proper hands.
No question about it. I expect a lot more 3 linebacker looks out of this Chiefs defense on Sunday than we saw last week. I think Leo Chenal only played like a quarter, maybe a third of the Chiefs defensive snaps last week, which I kind of understand because they weren't making running the football a priority. You really can't. Not without your top running back in J.K. Dobbins, who's out for the year. I get it, but that's going to need to be a priority. You're going to need 7 guys in the box with relative consistency at least to try to slow down Jonathan Taylor in this Colts offense. 913-586-7965 is our number. Let's go to the text line next. You're listening to After Hours. Logan Weber alongside Blake Schneiders, 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting Gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt. Gain. Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she never gives him attention.
Ooh, you smell amazing, James.
Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I never said that.
Add Gain scent boosters to your laundry. Add joy to your day.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Man, if your stream isn't as strong as it used to be, or you're taking more breaks to the bathroom than the last 2 minutes of a televised football game,
there's another timeout. We'll be back after this.
it's time to get checked. An enlarged prostate, or BPH, could be the cause. And Kansas City Urology Care is here to help. Fast answers, trusted care. Don't wait. Come see Kansas City's largest, most experienced, and most advanced urology team. Visit kcuc.com today. At KCUC, you see the best in KC.
Does this sound like you? Every step of reach is a reminder of what hurts, a reminder of what you can't do. But I've got good news for you. Relief is closer than you think, and it doesn't have to come from a scalpel. What if it could come from you? At QC Kinetics, we tap into your body's own regenerative power using natural healing factors that help restore and repair damaged tissue, reduce inflammation, and relieve the pain at its source. No surgery, no pain pills, no long recovery. Just your body remembering how to feel alive again. And this Veterans Day, QC Kinetics is giving back to our heroes. Veterans will get $500 off their treatment, and for every non-veteran who starts care, QC Kinetics will donate $500 to the Wounded Warrior Project. So now's the perfect time to book your free consultation with Saturday appointments to fit your schedule. Call QC Kinetics today, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. Off 435 in State Line and in Gladstone, QC Kinetics.
Hey friends, it's noisy out there with information coming at us all day, every day. It's hard to know what to trust, and the world of wealth management is no exception. That's why UMB Private Wealth Management helps you tune out the noise and tune into what matters most. They'll create a financial plan based on your unique goals, so it's your voice that comes through loud and clear. Get financial clarity. Go to umb.com/privatewealth to schedule an appointment. That's umb.com/privatewealth.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Lots of movement in the text line so far in hour number 1 of After Hours here on this Wednesday night. Logan Weber alongside Blake Schneiders. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. You know, I'm seeing a lot of conversation about the Chiefs. Obviously, that's what we've been discussing thus far. Also, some baseball conversation. Always down to talk a little bit of baseball. A lot of it's free agency, trades, things that the Royals could or couldn't do here to try to bolster the roster before we get to March. We'll discuss that in a little bit. One thing that I have heard about the Kansas City Chiefs in the last couple of days that I think is absolutely asinine. Why are people discussing Odell Beckham Jr. signing with the Chiefs? For what? Like, what does Odell Beckham Jr. do for this Chiefs team? You sign him and he's all of a sudden wide receiver 6? What kind of move? How does this affect the bottom line? He's still not going to play above Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy or Hollywood Brown or Tyquan Thornton or Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, he might be wide receiver 5. Like, he might play ahead of Juju Smith-Schuster.
Maybe.
Or I should say Jalen Royals, not Juju Smith-Schuster.
Well, we know that
Do
because
we really
Royals
want
hasn't
that?
hit the field yet.
Yeah. Is that really where we're going with this? What's the point? What is the point? And it's not like Odell Beckham Jr. is coming off of an injury that ended a season in which he was like 80 catches for 900 yards and 8 touchdowns. This dude had like 12 catches last year for the Dolphins and got cut. Why are we discussing? Oh, there are so many better things and better position groups of need that we could be discussing for the Kansas City Chiefs that aren't Odell Beckham Jr. That needs to get squashed before it starts.
Yeah, mainly defensive line. If you're talking any positions, I would assume it would be defensive line and or running back.
Wide receiver is, frankly, behind, I would say, the quarterback position, the least of your concerns if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. Makes absolutely no sense. We're going to get to the text line coming up next. Stick around for the 8 o'clock hour of After Hours. Logan Weber, Blake Schneiders, 96.5, The Fan.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
Get 5 quarts of Valvoline full synthetic motor oil, a Wix filter, and a $15 gift card after rebate at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. 250 years ago, a promise was made to connect families and friends near and far. And during the holidays, that promise is more important than ever. That's why USPS is building a better network to meet your needs with timely deliveries, easy and affordable ways to ship, and everything you need to make your season full of holiday cheer. Our purpose is delivering your peace of mind, knowing your love will arrive, bringing joy to all. The United States Postal Service. Learn more at USPS.com/holidays.
You've got a big day, so you use Unstoppable Scent Boosters to give your laundry non-stop freshness. So no matter how long the day goes, you
can't stop this power, this walk, this pose, this strut, this look, this talk.
Your clothes will be so fresh you can confidently strut into that end of the day meeting like a
boss, 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 bosses. Let's talk business in my office.
Add new Unstoppables beads to your wash for 24-hour non-stop freshness so you can smell unstoppable.
I'm worth more.
I'm worth a little more.
I'm worth a lot more.
I completely agree. You are worth more, and your car's worth more. And we want to pay more at GiveMeTheVin.com for good cars, because they are worth more, and so are you. And remember, if I don't beat the price on a CarMax or a Carvana deal, I'll pay you $100. For top price, trust, and ease of transaction, GiveMeTheVin.com, America's best car buyer.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
Listen to the Chiefs versus the Colts this Sunday on 96.5 The Fan. Sponsored by Kansas Lottery. Download the Kansas Lottery Play-On app to play anytime, anywhere in Kansas.
Oh, no.
Ah, that's the sound of someone who's misplaced
My debit card.
their debit card.
Where'd I leave that thing?
Not at the gas pump, or the checkout counter, or the roof of your car. Now, if he has the Chase mobile app, he can use Card Lock.
Wait, I could just lock my card.
Yep, just a few tippy taps on his phone, and that sound? That's peace of mind from Chase.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A., member FDIC.
I woke up this morning feeling like I was coming down with something. Cough, congestion, headache. My first thought was, nope, this can't happen. I have big plans this weekend. So I took Mucinex Kickstart. It provides all-in-one and done relief with a morning jolt of instant cooling sensation. Thanks to Mucinex Kickstart, I didn't even need to cancel my weekend plans. If you start feeling cough and congestion coming on, take Mucinex Kickstart for relief with a kick. At your favorite retailer. Use as directed.
Need to sell your house in Kansas City but not sure where to start? Selling a home can feel overwhelming, especially if you're facing foreclosure, a divorce, an inherited property you don't want, or just need to move quickly. But you don't have to figure it out alone. Rex Buys KC is here to help. As a local home buyer, I understand the Kansas City market inside and out. My family and I live right here, so I know the neighborhoods, the trends, and the challenges homeowners face. That's why I take a consultative approach, helping you explore your options and find the best path forward. We buy houses in any condition, no need for repairs, no agent commissions, and no hidden fees. You'll receive a fair cash offer with a closing timeline that works for you. Whether that's in as little as 7 days or at your own pace. Just a simple, hassle-free process designed around your needs. If you're ready to talk through your options, call me today at 816-330-6000 or visit rexbuyskc.com. Let's find the right solution for you. Rex Buys KC. Local, fair, and focused on you.
This is your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
All right, let's open it up to the people. 913-586-7965 is our number. We've been talking Kansas City Chiefs. Not that surprises anybody here so far on tonight's program. After Hours here on 96.5 The Fan. Logan Weber alongside Blake Schneiders. And we've gotten to hear from a lot of you in the text line. We've also heard from a couple of Royals fans who want to talk about the offseason plans, free agent targets, trade possibilities, and things of that nature. So let's break it down right here, right now. I got an 816 in the text line. We were talking about Odell Beckham Jr. and these reports that are said, like, the Chiefs should make a run. The Chiefs are considered one of the favorites to land Odell Beckham Jr. And the thought is, like, why? This person in the text line says, can he run the football? He's not a running back. We don't need him. With you 1,000%. Makes absolutely no sense. Another 816 says, I want to know why Spags played Christian Fulton instead of Noel Williams, I should say. And I don't know that I've ever even seen Bassa play very much. He doesn't seem to trust the younger players. There is something to both of those things. I, for one, was completely shocked to see Christian Fulton on Sunday. Didn't know he was going to be active. He's been a healthy scratch seemingly all year. And not only is he on the roster to begin the game, but he played 9 snaps. Comparison's sake, how many snaps did Noel Williams play? That would be a goose egg. 0. Why? I have absolutely no idea. If you're going to play Christian Fulton, I would have loved to have seen him, I don't know, week 1, 2, 3, all the way up to maybe week 10. But to throw him out there week 11 against the Broncos when Noel Williams has been one of the better corners statistically in limited snaps, I will add, yes, but in terms of his reps, he's been one of the better corners in football this year. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. With Bassa, he plays a lot of special teams. We've seen him come in sort of periodically in terms of the actual defense of the Kansas City Chiefs, but you're right, his measurables, I guess you could say, are pretty ridiculous. He came out of, I believe was he an Oregon guy?
That is correct.
I believe, yeah. Came out of the University of Oregon, and he's got some Willie Gay to him, is how I would describe him. He's considered more of an off-ball, pass coverage kind of a linebacker. And, that's something that is not unprecedented for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is something that they do quite a bit, is draft these guys and slowly work them back into things. That is very, very normal for them. And you look at like his scouting and things like that, you know, he was in the 91st percentile in the vertical, 73rd percentile in the 40-yard dash in terms of the history of the NFL Combine. So, you know, fairly good numbers. He's a little bit undersized. He's only 6'1", 230, but I think that he's got something to his game. It's just how can you justify leaving guys like Drew Tranquill and Nick Bolton off the field with how good of players and how consistent they've been, despite their, for lack of a better term, struggles in terms of pass coverage, whether it be slot wide receivers, running backs out of the backfield, and specifically tight ends. It's not that I don't think Spags doesn't trust the young guys. It's that he tries to bring them along slowly, allow them to try to, first of all, understand the defense, because Steve Spagnuolo is very, very well known for having a complex offense or complex defense, not necessarily in terms of like the bones of the defense, but how it changes week to week. You know, the different game plan adjustments that are made between week 1 to week 2 and so on and so forth is incredibly complex, where, I mean, Trent McDuffie's talked about how sometimes it feels like you're learning a new defense every single week. And so that can be a hard thing to adjust to if you're a young guy coming from a program where maybe you spent 2 or 3 or 4 plus years, and you go from having one defense with maybe some slight adjustments week to week to a defense with almost what feels like an entirely new defense week after week after week, on top of trying to adjust to how quickly the game is played. You know, the speed, the strength, the physical nature of the NFL versus college football, not to mention how quickly you have to process mentally what's happening pre-snap, during the course of play, post-snap, on the sideline after a drive concludes. All those different things. It's a lot coming at you at once. And, you know, for players like Noah Williams and Jeffrey Bassa, who were not first-round picks, you know, or second-round picks, there's obviously less of an expectation with those guys. And so by bringing them along a little bit more slowly, you have a greater opportunity to, once those guys are out there, they can play free. They can play fast. You know, Jalen Watson's one of those guys that they kind of brought him along slowly. L'Jarius Sneed was another one of those guys. Travarius Ward. They brought those guys along slowly, and I think because of that, they became really good players. I think that's just part of Spags' philosophy, and not just Spags. I mean, that's the Andy Reid philosophy. That's what the Chiefs have done with a lot of these guys over the years, is bring them along slowly, so that way when you do feel like they are ready and they feel like they're ready, just go out and play free. Go out and play football, man.
And I know that when I said it, I immediately kind of thought, that was probably a little overzealous to throw him out there. And because I almost did the exact same thing when they drafted Leo Chenal. I was like, I would like to see him play a lot sooner. Now, it took him about 2.5 years to really grasp, but now we see him a lot more. And we know how good of a player he can be as long as he continues to progress. So, yes, I do believe I was a little overzealous in just throwing Bassa out there. But sometimes I almost think that the reins, even if it's just like, hey, we're going to give you 7 plays on defense throughout the game. We're going to get you in there, get our guys a little rest underneath them, even if it's just for a play at a time. Just to see, because one thing I think that sometimes the Andy Reids and the Steve Spagnuolos are almost too hard on is not giving young players a chance. They let Noah Williams do it in the beginning, and he was playing phenomenally.
Yeah.
And then it's like they're kind of pulling the reins back now, which is very confusing to me, especially when Christian Fulton didn't play for the first 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So I'd like to see them maybe be a little bit more lenient with the younger guys instead of treating every single young guy like, until, you know, you saw it with Rice and Worthy because they had to. They had to play.
Right.
So those are not the same types of scenarios. It's letting these younger guys say, hey, we feel comfortable with the guys we have. Maybe we'll feed you just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. But I also completely understand the flip side of saying, I like the guys we have out there, and we trust them because they know the system, and we can depend on them in tight situations. I completely understand that.
I got a message here from an 816. This one's interesting. Who says, first 3 words of the text, Mahomes is cooked. Oh, this is going to be fun. Unlike Brady, whose primary goal each year playing was winning, Mahomes has too much on his plate, can't juggle it all, and still win. What? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I will let opinions go quite a long ways. Have you ever been in a room with a have you ever had a conversation with a professional athlete? Have you ever listened to a professional athlete? I'm not saying that all of them are playing purely for the love of the game, but 95% plus are. And Patrick Mahomes is one of those guys. To say that Brady's ultimate goal was winning every year and Mahomes isn't is asinine. I mean, absolutely ludicrous, in my opinion. I'm sorry. The guy is focused solely on winning football games. He's got too much on his plate. Because he does commercials every once in a while?
Which are mostly filmed during the offseason?
Come on, man. That's completely ridiculous.
This is one of those takes, and you and I were kind of talking about this. This is one of those takes, and I kid you not, this is not the first time I've heard it. Not the first time I've heard somebody this year say they believe Patrick Mahomes has too much on his plate, and their excuse was not only the commercials, it was that the fact that he has children, that they have children. I'm like, almost every professional athlete has children. Some have 7 children. Phillip Rivers, I believe, had 10 children. That's just a part of life and being an adult.
That man's got a whole offense already. He's got a whole offense of children at this point.
He's got a whole offense of children. Exactly. I just thought it was such an asinine statement that I actually had to walk away from the conversation. Because as much as I love talking sports, it's hard to sit there and what was your quote? It's hard to have a reasonable conversation with an unreasonable person.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I can't entertain it. I'm not even going to sit there and fake it for you, brother. I'm sorry.
I mean, to say that he's got too much on his plate.
That's why you're a professional athlete. First of all,
he's drafted in 2017. He doesn't play at all, right? He becomes the starter in 2018. 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. He wins MVP. They lose in overtime of the AFC Championship game to the Patriots. He becomes the face of the NFL overnight that season. He's in every commercial imaginable. And there were those people. Back in 2018, he's doing too much. He's got way too much on his plate. He's doing all these commercials. He's maybe not as focused on the game of football. Well, what has he done since then? I don't know. Get to 5 Super Bowls, win 3 of them, win another MVP, 3-time Super Bowl MVP? No, he doesn't. He doesn't have too much on his plate. You're seeing him all over your television screen the same way that people in New England were seeing Brady on their television screen 20 years ago. Brady was doing he was doing Gatorade commercials and Gillette commercials and everything else under the sun. He was going on all the late night talk shows and he was in TV shows and movies. He was doing all the same things that Mahomes has been doing for the last 8 years. And it hasn't hindered him a bit. I disagree so strongly with that statement.
Well, and to say that also, I mean, to miss a guy on a deep pass, you're equating that to having too much on your plate. To maybe throw in an errant interception, which Mahomes has done before in the same years that he's won Super Bowls. That's wild to me. If you want to talk about people who can't handle it or there's too much on their plate, and are you suggesting that he stop doing some of that stuff? Stop having kids? Stop raising his children? Stop having an outside life outside of football? That's so unreasonable and just such a weird comment. And I know that it seems like this has gotten both Logan and I flustered, but this isn't the first time I've heard somebody say it. And so it must be something in the water. It must be an actual thought out there because it's more than once.
Yeah. Yeah. They're legitimately those people that believe that. This is a good one here. This is an 816 talking about this. Mahomes has too much on his plate and he's maybe not as concerned about winning. This person says, as a combat veteran, professional sports athletes are as focused on winning as we are.
I love that comment.
That is a strong statement. And firstly and foremost, thank you for your service, whoever you may be. Really do appreciate it. That's a strong statement to put out. And again, I have been in this business long enough, and I have been around enough athletes. I have had conversations with college football players, college basketball players, NBA players, NFL players, current and retired. To say that these guys don't care because of how much money they're making, I think is ridiculous. The number of guys that I have interacted with in my lifetime, and I'll go back to even before I got into this business, because I had a family member, a cousin of mine, who played in the NFL for a number of years. And I watched him, and I've watched what's happened to him since his career has ended. Believe me when I tell you, this man played the game of football because he loved the game of football. Did he play it for free? No. A lot of these guys would, but they don't, because they're not stupid. And none of us would play the game of football or play basketball in the NBA for free either, because it would be asinine to do that. Why would you play a sport that is making other people millions, tens of millions, billions of dollars for free? Nobody on earth would do that. So to suggest because they're doing commercials and they're making all this money that they've got too much on their plate and therefore they don't love the game of football as much, or they're not as solely focused on winning as they used to be, is wrong, man. If that was the case, Mahomes would have nosedived after that 2018 season. But he didn't. He took this team to 5 Super Bowls. They won 3 of them in that span. They became a dynasty. Not because they were trying to cash a paycheck, but because the number one goal always has been and always will be for guys like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Chris Jones and Andy Reid, win the damn football game. Everything else is gravy. Win the damn football game.
You don't spend 10, 11, 12 hours a day thinking about football, working out, sweating, training, recovering, to not care. Because those guys, I promise you, who might have too much on their plate and don't get to the NFL because they couldn't handle school at the same time or whatever it is, these guys love the game. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like, for those of us who watch the game,
I did it for free. I was one of them.
Exactly, and talk about the game all the time, but don't play it. Like, think about how much we love it as people who just watch the game. People that have no bearing on a win or a loss, and how much we love it, and how happy we are after a win, and how defeated we are after a loss. Imagine you're the person in that helmet. Imagine you're the person on that field or on that court doing those things. I just don't agree, man.
From the 816, how many of those idiots say that stuff would go to their jobs for free?
None.
0.
Absolutely none. I love this job so much. So much on that there are times where I wish I didn't love it as much as I do, Blake, right? And I'm sure you can agree.
Of course.
I love this job. Would I do it for free? Yes, I have.
I was going to say, I practically have done it for free before.
But do I choose to do it for free just because of how much I love it? No, because nobody would.
If you're smart, never do something for free.
Never. Ever, ever, ever. I mentioned that I had a relative who played professional sports. Somebody says, if you said basketball, I was going to ask if you were related to Chris Webber, but you're not tall enough. Yeah, that's the
biggest glaring difference.
Yep. Yeah, Chris Webber is 6'9". I am 5'9".
That is the only difference.
Maybe
Logan's on his mom's side, actually. So
true.
That's why.
True. I would say by that logic, the biggest difference between Chris Webber and I is actually that our last names are spelled differently. My last name is Webber with 1 B. His is Webber with 2 B's. Which is why my entire life I have had to have the number of times where and I'm sure you're the same way, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I will go into some place and they'll be like, okay, what's your first and last name? Oh, Logan Webber. And they're like, oh, is that with 2 B's? And I'll go, no, it's 1 B, Weber. They immediately look me dead in the eyes and go, oh, Weber? No, Webber with 1 B, because people can only picture Webber with 2 B's, Chris Webber, or Weber State, which is out in Washington.
Yeah.
home of Damian Lillard, I may add.
And just like me, my name is almost identical to Schneider's, except the E and the I are flipped.
Right.
So almost everybody my entire life has called me Blake Schneiders, which is not. Yeah. Gold did it in our last show.
Nice. Atta baby. Atta baby. I will
3 years I've been here, Gold. You still get my name wrong.
Every time I know how to pronounce your name, but every time I come in and do a show with you, I'm going back and forth on how to spell it. Like, is it E-I? Is it I-E? You know, I'm just going to go with I-E because I before E except after C sort of thing, the logic. And that works out for me quite a bit. One of my favorite stories about my last name, just really quick, and then we'll take a break and get back to the text line, is my senior year of high school. You know, I played football at my high school all 4 years, right? I was a senior. My brother was a freshman. And we used to do this thing. It was called Meet the Cardinals every year, where it was like basically a scrimmage, right? It was like our version of a spring game for high school football that we would do the week before our jamboree that began the season. And, you know, they put one of our coaches comes through and he's getting names and numbers for everybody to put into the program. We get the program back from Meet the Cardinals. My brother's last name spelled correctly. Mine, 2 B's. My brother, freshman in high school, his last name spelled correctly, but me, senior, starter, played all 4 years of high school football. My last name was spelled with 2 B's.
He must have been the better looking one.
He was definitely the better football player of the two of us. He went on to play college football. He is considerably bigger than I am, and it's pissed me off my entire life. I'm 5'9", 150 pounds, and he's like 6'3", and at his biggest, he was about 265 pounds.
You would have been a stud in the 50s.
Yeah, man, I would have been him. I would have been that dude playing against the plumbers and firemen that
you
that
and
they
old
talk
Curly
about
out there.
Yeah, man, I'd have given Bob Cousy buckets, absolute work on the floor. 913-586-7965 is our number. We'll continue to break down the text line coming up. I also want to talk about KU Duke last night. No Darren Peterson. Jayhawks did their best to try to stick around, but it wasn't enough. We'll discuss that next here on After Hours. Logan Weber alongside Blake Schneiders, 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
Gates Barbecue's distinctive flavors will make your holiday meals unforgettable. Spice up your holiday table with Gates sauces and seasonings. Prepare your meats, potatoes, and vegetables with Gates seasonings and top it off with one of the 5 Gates sauces. While watching a game or your favorite holiday movie, sprinkle Gates original seasoning on a bowl of hot buttered popcorn. So good. You can buy Gates at your neighborhood grocer or online at gatesbarbecue.com. Gates Barbecue, still doing it the old-fashioned way. Thanks with love.
Get ready, Missouri. Kickoff is near. The world's largest sports book is coming to your fingertips. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. With high and transparent app limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Start betting like a pro in Missouri on December 1st. Learn about your new bookie today at circasports.com. The world's largest sports book at your fingertips. Circa Sports launches December 1st.
Step into a world where substance meets style. Newton James, Kansas City's newest classic menswear and accessories boutique. They redefine what menswear should be with pieces from designers like Ralph Lauren, Sid Mashburn, Grayson, and more. They'll have you covered from the boardroom to the golf course. At Newton James, they believe someone has to be the best-dressed man in the room. It might as well be you. Located in downtown Overland Park or newtonjames.com. Elevate your wardrobe. Elevate your presence only at Newton James. Ever wonder what your home is really worth? Find out in seconds with a true market expert. Just Google Sharp Homes Team, and on their website, click on the button that says, "How much is your home really worth?" The Sharp Homes team can give you options, including their instant offer program. Skip the showings and open houses and go straight to sold. And if you're buying or selling, reach out to the only agent I would trust if I needed to sell my home. It's Don Sharp with the Sharp Homes team, brokered by Epic Realty. So don't wait. Google Sharp Homes team today.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
The Fed just cut interest rates again, and that means now is the time to refinance with Golden Oak Lending. Lower rates mean lower payments, and our customers are saving hundreds every month. Plus, you can make no payments until next year. And if your loan doesn't close, we'll pay for your appraisal. Call 913-890-GOLD today and start saving. NMLS number 114937.
This is 96.5 The Fan, your home for Chiefs football. It's the only place to hear from Andy Reid on Mondays at noon. It's the only place that has an exclusive one-on-one interview with Patrick Mahomes on Tuesdays at 3:15. And it's the only place to listen to the play-by-play with Mitch, Danon, and Kling on game day.
Touchdown! Kansas City! Travis Kelce owning this game!
This is your home for Chiefs football. This is 96.5 The Fan.
Let's take an opportunity here, get away from football for a minute. Talk a little baseball. Had several people in the text line so far this tonight asking about options for the Kansas City Royals and what they could potentially do to try to bolster the roster before next season. And 816 here in the text line earlier that if they could make it work, fantastic. But it feels like wishful thinking on my part. Says, what do Luis Arias and George Brett have in common? They both have won 3 batting titles. The Royals should sign Arias to play second base and Cody Bellinger to bat behind Big Bob. Boy, I would love it if the Royals could bring in both Luis Arias and Cody Bellinger. You're going to have to explain to me where the financial is coming from. Because if there's one thing I can almost guarantee you, John Sherman is not doling out $20+ million deals to both Luis Arias and Cody Bellinger this offseason. You know, it feels like every time we have a conversation about who the Royals are going to add this offseason, we somehow always get back to infielders. And I understand some of it because I would say that the infield crop of free agents this year is more talented than the outfield. And I think most would agree with that. When you look at guys like Arias and Bo Bichette and Alex Bregman, the top of the heap for the infield is a little bit more talented than the top of the heap at the outfield spots. But J.J. Piccolo has already said, and he said at the end of season press conference, that they want Jonathan India to be the everyday second baseman. Whether you agree or disagree with that, the general manager of the club has already voiced that that's the plan. You know, he talked about how they put Jonathan India into positions that he wasn't necessarily comfortable in all year long. You know, they threw him in right field on occasion. They'd throw him into left field. They put him at third base sometimes, places that he was not accustomed to playing at, at the big league level. He is accustomed to being an everyday second baseman like he was with the Reds. And so having a full offseason at his disposal, the plan is Jonathan India at second base. Maikel Garcia is going to be your third baseman. Bobby Witt Jr. is going to be your shortstop. Vinny's going to be your first baseman. The infield is set. So I think from that, we all need to look at the Royals offseason, trades, free agency, through that lens of the infield's not going anywhere. The infield that we saw last year is the infield we're going to see this year with more India at second base. That's just the way it's going to be. How does this team improve upon beyond that? And it's the outfield. Cody Bellinger is an intriguing option, but Belly's going to be, pushing a $30 million a year price tag on a deal that's going to be 5+ years. Can you really justify that if you're the Kansas City Royals? I don't know. I got another 816 here who says, call up our good buddy, former Royals great and World Series champion Chris Young, and ask him to trade Adolis Garcia. Adolis Garcia is certainly a bat, somebody that would help you with your run production in the outfield. What stops me is he's a right fielder. has been for quite some time. He hasn't played a game at left field since 2021. Every game he's played over the past 4 seasons has been either in right field, center field, or DHing. He's played 16 games in left in the entire career that he's had. You know, he is coming off of probably the worst year of his career. I shouldn't say probably. What it is the worst year of his career. You know, 19 home runs, 75 RBIs. He hit 227 with a 271 OBP. He strikes out a lot. He doesn't walk very often. It's kind of an all or nothing. He is an extra base hit kind of a guy. He's a run producer, certainly. He's going to be 33 years old by the time next season begins. Not entirely sold on that one. You know, so the person later mentions calling up the Angels and trading for Jorge Soler. I like that option even less because Jorge Soler is a designated hitter. And when he's not DHing, he's in right field. And, you know, this past year with the Angels was a, let's face it, rough one for him. He is going to be 34 years old by the time next year begins, coming off of a year where he hit 215 with only 12 home runs in 300 plate appearances. Could be a cheap option, but I don't think he solves anything. And then the last one he mentions is Ketel Marte. Do I think he's got the intangibles, the athletic ability to play left field? Yes, I believe he does. But he's never played left, ever. Ever. The guy's played in almost 1,200 games in his big league career. He's never played an inning at left field, ever. Second base, shortstop on rare occasions, third base only 3 times. He's played center field about 174 times in his career. But he's played 730 games at second base. And that harkens right back to what we were discussing earlier, which is Jonathan India is going to be the everyday second baseman for the Royals. We all need to kind of accept that. Whether we like it or not, that's probably what's going to happen. You got to go somewhere else. And where that is, I don't think it's in the free agent market. I think it's got to be via a trade. And there are guys who are left fielder specific players that I think could be really, really vital pieces for the Royals that wouldn't necessarily cost you an arm and a leg. You know, look at somebody like a Jordan Beck with the Colorado Rockies. Younger guy, so that probably is a deterrent. The Rockies are not going to be willing to move on from a younger piece of theirs. But what about like a Jarren Duran? The Boston Red Sox have openly said that they are open to moving on. They want to move on from him because they have so much prospect depth in the outfield. He's still got 3 years of team control left, folks, including this season. He's entering his first year of arbitration this offseason, which means you'll get 2 more ARB years out of him. He won't become a free agent until after the 2027 season. And it's not going to cost you everything to get rid of him. It may end up costing you one of your catchers and one of your starting pitchers, but I can't say that I'm against you packaging Ramirez or Blake Mitchell with Chris Bubich and sending them to Boston for one of the Red Sox top 20 prospects in Jarren Duran. It solves your left field problem. You get a prospect back in return for one of your big-time prospects. Makes it a little easier to identify what the catching is going to look like for the Royals in the future because I think Carter Jensen is going to be the guy. I have no issue with that. You know, Duran is not a massive home run hitter. You know, he had 16 homers this past year, but he's been incredibly durable. He played in 157 games. He hit 256. He has a decent walk rate. He had an OBP of 330 this last year. You know, I got a 913 who says Tyler Soderstrom. Boy, would I love to see Tyler Soderstrom in a Royals uniform. But that goes right back to the conversation that we were having with Jordan Beck of the Rockies. Soderstrom's only 23 years old. The A's have a tremendous core of young players. And I think by the time they move into their new home in Las Vegas, they're going to be able to afford to keep their players around longer. You know, Soderstrom has 3 more years of team control at least with the A's. And it is coming off the best year of his career. He hit 276, 25 homers, 93 ribbies, all of which were top 5 among third base or left fielders, I should say, in Major League Baseball. I don't know. I think there are options that don't involve you having to go trade for a guy who played a different position and try to retrain them into being a left fielder. We've seen the Royals do it over and over again. It hasn't worked. I think your best course of action is to find a left fielder, an MLB-proven left fielder, and go. Just my thought.
Problem with looking at the free agent market is it's a lot of guys post 30.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from that same 913 text that mentioned Soderstrom, they also mentioned Joe Adell, which I wouldn't feel totally against. I mean, coming off his best season as a hitter, 2 shy of 100 RBIs. He had 98 RBIs, 37 home runs. Now he's going to hit for a lot of average, but he does add speed to the outfield.
Yeah.
Don't hate that idea.
I'm not against it, right?
No.
I just think that there's already a ton of speed in this lineup. You know, India's not an incredibly slow guy.
He's not fast, though.
He's not fast, but Bobby Witt Jr. is arguably the fastest player in baseball. I would say, you know, Ellie De La Cruz and him are vying for it. Maikel Garcia is a guy that can steal 30 bags with regularity. Kyle Isbell's not necessarily the slowest guy.
He's very aggressive on the bases, and I like that.
Yeah, and Carter Jensen is, for a catcher, he's got a little juice to him. You know,
I wouldn't mind more speed. They're not lacking speed, but I wouldn't mind a little more.
And I'm not saying that I disagree. I think that this Royals team needs more run production than speed right now. And speed can certainly help with run production, but the Royals have guys getting on base. You know, Bobby does a great job of getting on base and driving in runs. Maikel Garcia does a great job of getting on base. Vinny and even Salvi to some extent. Kyle Isbell had the best year of his career getting on base. It's just there weren't enough guys in the lineup that could get that guy from second base and get him to the dish, or move that guy from first to third and try to advance the base paths when it was necessary.
I think that's why that Joe Adell comment kind of, because I started looking into it and I was like, hey, he hits for power. He almost had 100 RBI season. I'm like, okay, I could see where that could fit. That's a name I have not heard thrown around yet this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Not even saying it's necessarily possible, but I don't absolutely hate that idea.
I don't necessarily hate it either. And again, that's a guy who drives in runs too. So he steals bases somewhat. You know, he only had 5 this last year for the A's, but 37 homers, 98 RBIs. Does he get on base a lot? No. He doesn't hit for average. He's a career 220 hitter.
But he does drive runs in.
Boy, but when he puts his bat on the ball, it goes a long way. 913-586-7965 is our number. We'll talk about a former Royal. How about we do a little check-in on an old friend who's heading somewhere other than a Major League Baseball team. We'll discuss that next, as well as the KU Duke game from last night. Jayhawks lose 78-66. We'll break that one down as well here on After Hours. Logan Weber, Blake Schneiders, 96.5, The Fan.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
What's up, Missouri? Tony Gonzalez here. I've spent a lot of Sundays right here playing in front of the best fans in football. And now it's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st. Soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. It's America's top-rated sportsbook app. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day, December 1st.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code 965. New Missouri customers, sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live. That's code 965. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
It's Thanksgiving time, and that means it's Smokehouse Barbecue time as well. I love Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday, and I always get my turkeys at Smokehouse Barbecue. We're talking 12 to 15-pound birds that they're going to smoke to perfection for you that you're going to pick up the day before Thanksgiving. Pop it in the oven on Thanksgiving morning, and that smoked turkey from Smokehouse Barbecue will be the star of the show. They're $89.95, and it's the best money you're ever going to spend. Order your turkeys now from Smokehouse Barbecue at smokehousebbq.com.
Hey, it's almost Andy Reid. Who knew dressing up for a Halloween ball would change my life forever? Now I get to celebrate with the best fans and everything Kansas City. Oh, yeah! My journey also led me to Renner Garage Door, Casey's go-to team for garage door repair, replacement, and service since 1956. Renner features an MVP lineup from Delden, Amar, and Liftmaster.
R-E-N-N-E-R, R-E-N-N-E-R.
Hi, we're the people who have everything.
There's nothing you can get us we don't have.
We have 7 mini vacuums.
And Pearl handled pickleball rackets.
See?
Need a gift for someone who has everything? The Kansas Lottery has you covered with holiday scratch tickets in $1, $2, $5, $10, and $20 options. With instant wins up to $100,000. You could win even more in second chance drawings.
Did he say thousands?
We could always use that.
See? See KSLottery.com for details.
Inside the Huddle with Cody and Gold each day from noon till 1 on 96.5 The Fan. Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. Discover the benefit of blue on the official radio partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 96.5 The Fan.
Flu season is here. Get your flu shot today at your local Hy-Vee pharmacy. It's easy, convenient, and no appointment is necessary. Plus, when you get your flu shot at Hy-Vee, earn a 20-cent fuel saver. That's right, a 20-cent fuel saver. Get your flu shot when it's convenient for you. Schedule online or just stop by your Hy-Vee pharmacy. No appointment necessary. Help your family stay healthy. Get your flu shot and get a 20-cent fuel saver only at Hy-Vee. See store for details. Some restrictions apply.
Pros don't just show up. They prove how it's done. With precision and without shortcuts. Makita tools are built the same way, with a dedication to lasting quality, trusted performance, and results that reward your effort year after year. When the job calls for the best, call on Makita. Built to be the best. Available at the Home Depot.
Old friend alert. Does everybody remember, 6 months ago when Cam Devaney was the hottest name in Kansas City? Everybody, admittedly, at times even me, begging for the Royals to call up Cam Devaney to try to help out at second base. But it never came, right? He was having a great year in AAA. He was hitting the cover off the baseball. Royals traded him to the Pittsburgh Pirates a couple of days before the deadline back on July 16th. didn't make his Major League debut until August 30th. He went 5 of 36 in his brief tenure with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Well, over the weekend, I believe it was Sunday, actually, the news came out. Cam Devaney has signed with the Hanshin Tigers of Nippon Professional Baseball, or Nippon Professional Baseball. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's a part, formerly known as the JBL, the Japanese Baseball League. I think that tells us all we need to know about why Cam Devaney wasn't a bigger part of the Royals' Major League plans last year. Because they traded him. He got a little bit of run in Major League Baseball, and the Pirates said, you know what? Why don't you head over to where the House of the Rising Sun for a little bit? Why don't you go try to figure things out over in Japan? Interesting story there. 913-586-7965 is our number. We'll come back and wrap things up next here on After Hours. Logan Weber alongside Blake Schneiders. This is your home for Kansas City Sports, 96.5, The Fan.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City Sports, 96.5, The Fan.
Hi, I'm Emily, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company, where a small box with a burgundy bow will help you win the holidays. As an in-house designer, I love creating meaningful, fine jewelry gifts. Choose a necklace with a gorgeous infinity charm to symbolize your everlasting love. Or go for a personalized piece with an engraving, their zodiac sign, favorite color gemstone, or their initial accented with pave diamonds. Because a friend wants you to be a holiday hero. Stop by or shop now at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Ready for action, hockey fans? BetMGM, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is giving players another reason to lace up and hit the ice this season. BetMGM is adding extra excitement to the goals, the checks, the face-offs, and the breakaways with special promotions, new features, and more. Log in throughout the season to find odds boost tokens, no sweat tokens, and parlay boost tokens in your account to amplify your winnings. Enjoy enhanced product features like Dark Mode 2. Log into BetMGM, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, all throughout the hockey season to see what's new. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kansas only. Existing customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards vary and expire in 7 days. Please gamble responsibly. A partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
I'm worth more.
I'm worth more.
I'm worth a lot more.
And I completely agree. That's why I'll pay more for your car at GiveMeTheVin.com. That's the name of our new campaign. I'm worth more. You are worth more, and your car's worth more. And that's why I will pay more. And remember, if I don't beat the price on a CarMax or a Carvana deal, I'll pay you $100 at GiveMeTheVin.com.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
If you've been diagnosed with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, this is what it sounds like to be 1,000,000 miles away. Imagine being 1,000,000 miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy. With Tremfya, clearer skin is possible. In clinical trials, at least 70% of patients saw at least 90% clearer skin at 16 weeks. Results may vary. Tremfya is also indicated for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Call 1-800-526-7736 or visit Tremfya.com.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Man, there was a moment last night where I really thought the Jayhawks had a shot. Like they were going to be able to pull it out. Unfortunately, it was not to be. KU loses last night in the second half of the State Farm Champions Classic to Duke, 78-66. Blake, contain your excitement over there, man. A little juiced up about KU losing a basketball game.
I'm a Tiger fan, brother.
I get it.
That's why I didn't put myself on the camera.
Took yourself off the camera specifically so that you could do your fist pumps.
My Henry Cavill fist pumps.
All right. I like it. But, I mean, give Kansas a little bit of credit. You know, you're without your best player in Darren Peterson, a guy who is deep in conversations about being the number 1 overall pick in this upcoming draft in the NBA, and you lose by 12 to a really good Duke team. I mean, they're ranked 5th in the country for a reason. They'll probably be ranked a little bit higher than that after what's happened this week, after beating Kansas. UConn lost to Arizona tonight. So there's going to be some movement among the top 5 already. I said last night on the show that I thought if Flory Badunga could win the one-on-one matchup with Cameron Boozer, that they had a really good shot. That if he kept pace and he slowed him down on the offensive side of the basketball, KU could stay in it. And give Flory Badunga credit, because that's what he did. You know, he only scored 14 last night, but he was 7 of 10 from the floor. He was incredibly efficient. He pulled down 6 rebounds. Really, the big problem with him was foul trouble. Could not stay out of foul trouble last night. Trey White had a really good day. He was the leading scorer. Not just for Kansas, but in the game. Scored 22 points. A lot of that came in the first half. On pretty efficient splits, he 2 of 4 from the three-point line. He shot over 50% from the field. He had 9 rebounds in this game as well to go along with 4 assists. The problem was, outside of those 2 guys, KU struggled. Nobody else on the floor for the Jayhawks shot better than 40% from the field. Not a one. Bryson Tiller was 2 for 8. Cole Rosario, 2 for 7. Melvin Council was 6 of 15. Jaden Dawson off the bench was 2 for 6. I mean, you think about 14 of Kansas's 26 field goals came from 2 guys. Badunga and Trey White were a combined 14 of 23 from the floor. That means the rest of this Kansas team shot 12 of 37. You shot under 33% outside of those guys, and you could not knock down a jump shot to save your life. 4 for 21 at the three-point line. That was what I said coming into the game. 2 biggest keys. Can Flory Badunga slow down Cameron Boozer, and can they knock down jump shots when they have opportunities? You got one of the 2. Cam Boozer was 7 of 17 shooting last night. That's a win for Flory Badunga and the Kansas Jayhawks. But they couldn't knock down jumpers. 4 for 21. You are going to lose so much more often than you win. They got dominated on the glass. They got out-rebounded 41-30. Cam Boozer had 11 rebounds in this one. And Duke was more aggressive. They got to the free throw line. 26 free throw attempts for the Blue Devils compared to 14 for the Jayhawks. But again, as bad as that loss is for them, because they had a chance to win, give them some credit for battling without their best player, and you just have to hope that you get Darren Peterson back sooner rather than later. You know, there have been reports and rumors of like Darren Peterson might just be calling it quits already, and he's not going to play the rest of the year to try to keep his draft stock where it is, and yada, yada, yada. Do like a Kyrie Irving back in, 2011? I want to say 2010, 2011 with Duke. Like what Michael Porter Jr. did a few years ago at Mizzou. I don't think that's the case. And there have been reports that suggest that we haven't seen the last of Darren Peterson in a Kansas uniform. So I certainly would not be panicking about that one just yet if I was a Kansas fan. Looking around the league, like I mentioned, good basketball being played tonight across college basketball. UConn lost by 4 to Arizona tonight. Coa Pete finished with 16 and 12. Jaden Bradley with 21 points of his own. UConn had 4 starters in double figures, but it wasn't enough. Another prime example of a team that struggled to shoot the ball from the perimeter. Not that Arizona didn't. I mean, Arizona was 2 of 10 from the three-point line. But they understood they were struggling from behind the arc, decided to stop the attempts. UConn put up 25 threes. 25 of their 56 shots came from behind the arc. They only knocked down 8. Not to mention they shot 50% at the free throw line. Are you serious? That's ugly. 50% at the stripe is ugly. Michigan beat down Middle Tennessee 86-61. Auburn is throttling Jackson State right now to nobody's surprise, 55-24. But you got another really good one brewing right now on FS1. 11th ranked Alabama against the 8th ranked Illinois Fighting Illini. And right now, Illinois is leading it 31-27. Under 4 timeout of the first half there. That's a good basketball game. They're playing that one, quote unquote, neutral site. It's at the United Center in Chicago. So, yeah, it's not in Champaign, but it's a definite home game for Illinois in that one. NFL news. Sounds like Joe Burrow is slowly approaching a return. He was a full participant at Wednesday's practice for the Bengals. First time he has been 100% in practice since he got that turf toe injury back on September 14th. My question is it really necessary? Cincinnati, you're 3-7. You know, I would argue 2 more losses and you're done. I would say 1 more loss and you're probably done. You're already trailing Pittsburgh and Baltimore by multiple games in the division. I don't think it makes a lot of sense if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, but who am I to argue? That'll do it for tonight's program. For my producer, Blake Schneiders, I'm Logan Weber. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for getting involved in the text line as always. It'll be Bink with you guys tomorrow night here on After Hours on 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.